as I see it, class warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom? It's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the entire United States. And of course, good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of El Internet, formerly known as the ARPANET, controlled now not by we the people who created it, but by the oligarchy, the plutocracy, the wealthy. But you know what, folks? Things are a-changing. Things will change, and you have the ability to change it. You have the ability to choose not to be gullible. You have the ability to say, you know what? They've been lying to me all this time. Maybe for once, I'll start to use critical thinking and see what's best for me. But before we get started, folks, without further ado, we go into the studio with El Senor Howard Reynolds, Jack Van Bever, and I'm not sure if we're talking to well, I tell you what, tell me who's in the studio. How are you doing this morning, my brothers and sisters?
It's just Howard Reynolds and Jack Van Bever today.
There we go. What's up, guys?
Our volunteers are missing in action this morning. Must be a little too early for them. Jack, did you go and get that internet back from those billionaires yet?
Man, I've been meaning to do it.
I'm telling you. I told you to get that last week, and you still haven't done it yet.
Oh, well, take me to the woods.
Let's hear some wisdom so we can get over this disappointment here.
Okay. Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
All right. Elizabeth Warren says the Republican Party line is to deliberately lie as a strategy to lull unsuspecting citizens into not calling their senator and complaining about the destruction the one big beautiful bill will cause middle class and working families. The bill's Medicaid cuts would leave 16 million people uninsured, according to the Congressional Budget Office. Medicaid funding would decrease by $863 billion over 10 years. Speaker Mike Johnson and President Trump both claim the bill doesn't cut Medicaid. A statement, PolitiFact, rated as false. So Trump lies. That's what he does best.
Yes, he does that, and he does that best. Well, look, we're going to have a great program today, and thank you for starting that with the big beautiful bill, because for too long, and we promised here at Politics Done Right, we would not allow these other things, the distractions, to take us from what will really ail us going forward. And we made that promise. We are going to keep that promise. And thank you for starting there, my dear brother. But you know what? Before we get into the big bad bill and what the destruction of Medicare, Medicaid, etc., and you may say, what are you talking about? This is not a Medicare bill. Actually, it is, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. The first place I want to start is New York, New York. And why? Because Zoran Mamdani, a 33-year-old state assembly member and a Democratic socialist like, let's say, Bernie Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez, won New York. And they didn't win it by a little bit. They won it big, over 7 points, over the establishment, Cuomo, over what the New York Times told New Yorkers to do. New Yorkers, they came, the whole-fledged oligarchic attack began as they saw New Yorkers, a smart bunch, moving towards Zoran Mamdani. And we can expect the spears to come out. We can expect the fear-mongering to go. We can expect all of that going forward to make believe that this guy is going to be there to take you down. The truth of the matter is, critical thinking is starting to come afloat. Critical thinking is starting to come out. What has occurred over the last 30 years, 40 years, before this candidate and this next likely mayor of New York? Again, the attacks are going to be out, the spears are going to be out. What exactly has happened for the working class and middle class in New York over that time? As they walk through Manhattan and see the stock market going way up, as they see people, a very few, but a select few, living extravagantly rich on the backs of all those who made New York, New York. Some got the spoils, very few got the spoils, and the others, every bit of their disposable income went into transferring that wealth to those on the top. Why are the real estate prices the prices they are in New York? Because the people who own capital could do as they please, could charge as they please. And we finally had somebody with the guts to come out and say, enough, enough. Enough of you working on our backs and calling it freedom. Enough of you working on our backs and calling it democracy. It never was democracy. It has always been autocracy, not government sanctioned autocracy, but but corporate autocracy. And do remember, every corporation is an autocracy. That is what they never quite tell you. Every single corporation is an autocracy. Everybody who runs a company is an autocracy, and there's nothing wrong with that. But our government should never be an autocracy. That which is good for the people should never be an autocracy. It should always be a democracy. It is beautiful to see the people come along, but I wrote an article for Daily Kos a few days ago talking about Mandami winning, and they got on my case again. No, Mamdani is not gonna win. He's a socialist. Another one came on our Substack and talked about that Muslim communist, and no, no, no. America is waking up, and that's not going to keep working. Eventually, when you keep following that methodology, and the American people see this isn't working at all, it is simply taking my money, taking my work, and passing it up to the top. You know, it started. You know, when I knew for sure that this could happen, when I saw what occurred on No King's Day. No King's Day in this very red town of mine, Kingwood, Texas. More people than had ever come out to protest. Not even during the Wall Street. You know, we thought with Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street, we were really gonna put the country in the hands of the people for a change. And they gunned it down. They went into the parks. They went into Zakati Park. They went into Houston Freedom Park, where we were camping out in Houston. They went to Kingwood. We did it in a different manner, so it was kind of hard to get to us here in Kingwood with Occupy Kingwood. But the people, including those who call themselves centrist Democrats, went out there and they killed the movement. And before Occupy, we had the Obama for America movement. Obama had created something that no other politician had created then. And he got himself a win before America was ready to elect someone like him. He got the win because he was able to get America, if for 8 years, if to think critically. And he won. And he won again. But after he won, that movement that could have actually done something, that movement that was long overdue, OFA, they killed it. They were scared of the movement they created. Obama was informed. Don't know who did it. don't have the backroom story to kill a movement that was so strong, that was so young then, killed a movement. And here we are again. Here we are again. After 16 years, is it 16 years or so, I believe? After 16 years, those kids that came out in support that were 18 and 19 years old, they are 35 years old now. And many of them who expected to be better off than their parents find themselves instead living with their parents. They find themselves no possibility of expansion because those others took it all. The small minority took it all. And then the others were so scared that they continued to believe the crap that that small minority of plutocrats, oligarch, capitalists were telling them you had to do it this way. Otherwise, you know, it won't work for you. Well, guess what? Guess what? It is up to you to determine what's going to work. You already know what doesn't work. You already know that the current economic system takes it all. You know that. You know why? Because over that last 16 years, guess what? What accelerated was the transfer of your hard work, the transfer of your wealth right up to the top. And you know, they could say back in 2008 it was a cliche. Ah, we're tired of that cliche. But now it's not only in the numbers, you're feeling it. And then now we have AI without regulations, AI without regulations. And what's happening? We're seeing the class that simply were fighting to hold on. I'm not talking about the average working class. I'm talking about the suit and ties that were going to the office that had some bucks and felt somewhat comfortable. They're not coming for me. AI is coming for you. There's a fork in the road to decide how it's going to go. One is either going to go in a democratic manner or it's going to go in an oligarchic, capitalist, autocratic manner, right? It's either democracy or autocracy. Mamdani proved that in the first ballot, 43 point something percent of New Yorkers said, uh-uh, no. And on the second ballot, we expected I expected Mandami to win on the eighth ballot, meaning when they go through the eighth iteration, that's when the voting is going to get him elected. I foresee that he may actually do it on the first ballot, given the large win that he has. He just needs 7%. And you know what? The third person that came in, they had already had a deal to have the second vote of those people be for him. But worst case, I think he makes it on the third ballot. We'll see. But America is waking up. America is waking up. No kings, no autocracy, just democracy. Thank you guys for here. Cheryl Elkins is in the house. She says, in the 1940s, there was a three-term mayor of Milwaukee. I think that was a Democratic Socialist, very successful. Is not that far-fetched. Oh, I think he got it. I think he has the win in his hand. And John A says, Booyah! I am so happy about New York election results. Now we need to see it everywhere. The most intelligent, or one of the most intelligent Congress people in the Congress right now, speaking the word of the people, but also backing it up with the data, is in fact Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Check her out in whenever she's given the data. It's not hard to see. All right. Good morning, Desmond Jones on the chat. Good morning, Glenn Ryan. Glenn Ryan says, any comment on Dems not supporting Al Green and impeachment of Trump? This should be prime campaign issue for 2026. 2026. All right, folks. Eric Hayes is in the house. He says, radical anything won't win in normal society. Are you calling what we have a normal society? A society that for all practical purposes rapes the working class? Is that a normal society? A society that says, you know what, we'll let them die before we go ahead and give them health care, but we'll transfer that health care that they had to the wealthy. Is that a normal society? You're right, though, in one respect, we have so normalized evil that normal doesn't seem normal anymore. After all, we elected Donald Trump, didn't we? So again, now it's time to get back to what normal really should be. Let's go to Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
Yeah, the person who made that statement, I think he's one of the irregulars who is anti-American, anti-liberal. The real radical is Donald Trump. And your party, your people, your tribe, buddy. The truth hurts, doesn't it? Anyway, when you mentioned before you said 7 points, you described it as big, huge, and I was thinking, 20, 25, could it be maybe even 30 points? And then you said 7, and I thought, oh, crap. The Republicans hear that, and you know what they're going to do, Alberto? They see that as a challenge. They're going to say, we'll just have to erase more voting registrations. I think that's how they look at it. They don't think about converting themselves into honest positions, into changing their policies. No, they just don't want to increase their criminality even more. So that 7 points should be 17 points at minimum.
Oh no, let me explain though. Don't let me qualify that. I think it's important for people to know this. If you have a 10-way race and it may have been more than 10 candidates, and you had 4 solid candidates, and you got 43% of the vote, you got 43% of the vote with over 10 candidates or so running. That's huge. And that the distance between you and the other person, a very well known person, as in the former governor of the state, and you beat that governor of the state who has a base. And remember, a 38% win, a 38% amount for a former governor is huge, because you can say that is his base of support right there. I was expecting Mandami to win by 3 points. A lot of the polls had that it was within 3 points plus or minus, either him or Cuomo. But a 7 point win in a race like that, I think, is huge. Now, the other thing that Mandami had that none of the other candidates have is finally we got somebody running who knows how to use the media. Finally, somebody who knows how to use the media. And I want them to bring up any GOP candidate against this guy, including, of course, Mayor Adams. The other fraud is going to win. Let me tell you what else New York proved. We elected a thug for president, and we normalized that it was okay to elect a thug on the right side. We have here in Fort Bend County a thug of a commissioner in Fort Bend County decided that when he got caught doing all these bad things, his solution was to what? Become a Republican. So there's a whole lot of marketing to show right now that if you want to rip people off, if you want to be sleazy, if you want to be a thief, if you want to be a woman abuser, you just simply need to run on that ticket, because we know those people that would select those guys, they don't mind those character flaws. I was concerned about New York. Will New York elect a Cuomo who, after the fact, has shown so much character flaws? And what they said is no, because he lost by 53, or I'm sorry, he lost by 6 to 2 points. He lost by 6 to 2 points. That is how you look at it. Talk to me, Johnny.
David Hogg, what state is he from? Florida?
Florida. He's one of the guys that was involved in the shooting in the Florida school. Yes, sir.
Right. Well, too bad he can't move from Florida and set up shop in New York and get some traction there.
Well, David Hogg is doing well, Johnny. Look, I have a lot of respect for David Hogg. Hogg is much better outside of the Democratic establishment. He's still a Democrat, but outside of the Democratic establishment, because he has clout, youthful clout, and he will go out there, and the organization that he has, which is primarying all those Democrats that are simply horrendous. I love it. Continue, brother.
He's got street cred, which James Clyburn no longer has, if he ever
Of
had it at one time.
Yeah,
And I let staff know when I called the other day, his office, to square him on his stupid endorsement of Cuomo over the progressive guy. But anyway, so when you frame it the way you do in response to my fear about 7 points, I feel a little bit better because I remind myself that they, unlike us here in Texas, they have ranked choice voting. We
right,
don't.
right, right. So I mean, again, remember, he has not officially won yet, but a 7 point deficit with the on the second ballot is very hard to overcome. So that's why Cuomo conceded yesterday. Now let's see what Democrats in the city
Did he?
do. Let's see
That
what
I
they do.
did not know.
Yeah, yeah. He
Telling me that
conceded.
Cuomo dropped out?
Yeah, Cuomo conceded yesterday that he lost the election. Okay, so he conceded
Wait a
yesterday.
minute.
Now, go ahead.
So what does that mean exactly? Does that mean he's dropping out of the race? What does that mean
No,
exactly?
we don't know what he's doing. Let me tell you what I think is going to happen. All right. Remember, this is a mortal threat to the oligarchy. This is a cancer to the oligarchy because if you get when somebody they're going to really throw the Democrat socialist thing out there, and they're going to really make it seem like this is a danger to society. But you see, people are used to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in New York. People are used to Bernie Sanders in Vermont. People are getting used to other democratic socialists around the country. They're Democrats. They believe in democracy. A democratic socialist is a true Democrat. A centrist Democrat isn't. Let me point that out point blank. A centrist Democrat following the neoliberal methodology is not a democratic person. That is if you take a look at I am sorry, I am so disappointed in the current house leader. They asked our what's the name of the guy from New York comes out, and he wants to take the reaccept the War Powers Act. He wants to enforce the War
Are
Powers Act. And
you talking,
they go ahead.
are you talking about Hakeem Jeffries?
Akeem Jeffries, yeah, but I'm not. Akeem Jeffries, I'm very disappointed in Akeem Jeffries because they asked him a simple question: are you going to support the Democrats and Republicans who want to reinstitute the War Powers Act? They want to make sure that the president cannot take us to war unilaterally. And you know what
You
Jeffries'
didn't
answer
read it
was?
yet?
I haven't read it yet.
Oh
How
crap!
the hell do you have a president who just bombed Iran? A failed bombing, of course, but he bombed Iran. And you have one of your main leaders in the House. Of course, he's on the Democrat. He's on the progressive side, and you say you haven't read it yet.
I tell you
But
what. Why don't we get Hakeem Jeffries a plane ticket with one or two people to escort him over to Gaza? First stop Gaza. Let him see firsthand what's going on there, and then we ask him, "How do you feel about all this now?"
well, Akeem
Um,
Jeffries is owned by APAC. Okay, you have to understand that. He's owned by APAC. Oops, we it seems like we lost Johnny. But anyhow, let's go ahead and play our video, which is important. I want to play again. I wanted to start off with the race in New York because that race in New York could have repercussions throughout the Democratic Party and throughout the country. Keep your eye on it, watch it, and let's all open our critical thinking. It is so important, especially now. Uju M says, morning. Been traveling since last week. Glad to be joining everyone. Adams is doing what Bloomberg did while I lived in New York. Adams will run as an independent. Cuomo will run as a Republican because to them, labels don't matter at all. That matters their donors. So Adams and Cuomo will try to box out Mandani. And since I think it's whoever win the plurality of the votes in New York, I believe that's how it is, gets the toy. So Cuomo come in and Cuomo will get a certain percentage of the votes. Adams will get the vote, but I still think the majority ultimately, even if not 50%, is going to come out and support Mamdani. Gayla Kunis, good morning from, I think you're from Massachusetts. And correct me if I'm wrong. Anyhow, so look, good things are happening. Anyway, I got a video for you. This one is going to be 9 minutes long, with 8 minutes and change long, with Elizabeth Warren, but something that we have to hear. Here we go. Elizabeth Warren nailed it. She nailed it. Republicans have a new, well, not a real method. They're continuing with their method. Simply lie. Their professor in chief, their thug in chief, taught them well. Lie enough, and many Americans, your MAGA folks, will believe you. Your a lot of your low information people would believe you, and just maybe you can survive the lie, even as we are going to screw them to kingdom come. But the people are waking up. Americans are realizing that the big bad bill, formerly known as one big beautiful bill from Donald Trump, is really going to screw them, and screw them hard. The thing about it is, will they listen? Well, Mitch McConnell think that, they'll get over it. Let's listen to this from Elizabeth Warren, and then we'll take it on the other side.
We talked about Speaker Mike Johnson looking into a television camera today and saying there were no Medicaid cuts. God, is this going to be their party line? Yeah. Do they think people?
Yes, the party line is to lie. And here is our super secret strategy as Democrats. We're out there trying to tell the truth about what is in this bill. Because when people hear about the bill, when they understand what this bill is about, by about 2-1, they say that is a really terrible idea. And that's not just Democrats. That's independents. That's Republicans. People don't like this. So here is a bill that will take away health care from 16 million Americans. It will close community hospitals and community health centers all around the country. It will cause nursing homes to close when seniors who rely on that Medicaid to pay for their being able to be in those nursing homes, when that goes away. Your neighbor who relies on a wheelchair, who has a home health aide, as they make the cuts, slash the cuts, people all across this country are calling their senators and their Republican senators saying, vote against that bill. So today, at least the secondhand information is a lot of Republicans stood up at that caucus lunch and said, this is bad. This is bad. And Mitch McConnell told everybody to calm down. Yeah, people don't like this. It's terrible. They're going to lose their health care. But don't worry, they'll get over it. They'll get over it. They'll get over losing their health care. They'll get over the fact that 51,000 people will die from these cuts unnecessarily, people who would have survived. So they're just saying, don't worry. They'll get over that their grandma was pushed out of a nursing home. They'll get over the fact that their neighbor lost his wheelchair and now has to be in an institution. They'll get over the fact that that little baby was born with complex medical needs and has $1 million worth of medical bills before she even makes it home, and it bankrupts the family. Don't worry, they'll get over it. And they will not get over it.
No.
The people who are injured by the Republican bill will not get over it. And what they really won't get over is that all of those cuts, taking away that health care from babies and old people, people with disabilities, is so that the billionaires who sat in the front row at Donald Trump's inauguration and contributed to him, so that they can have a bunch of tax giveaways, so that Jeff Bezos can buy a third yacht and buy Venice in order to run a $10 million wedding. This is not who we are as a people. We are better than this. And I think what the Republicans are hearing is from people all across this country, Democrats and Republicans, who are calling in and saying, vote no, stop that bill, stop that bill. It hasn't become law yet. And we really have a chance to stop them dead in their tracks.
So let's be clear, folks. You at some point in time, your gullibility must end. Remember, Latinos por Trump, we're told. No worry, even if you're undocumented, you'll be okay because we're just going after the criminals. So your cousins who are citizens, it's okay to vote for Trump because remember, you don't want to vote for that woman. So vote for Trump. It's okay. Even as he talks about deporting, he's just going to do criminals. And I promise you, you are going to be okay. So tell your aunt, tell your sons, tell them it's okay to vote for Trump. We got to vote for Trump. And what was the turnaround? He's deporting, he's manhandling, he's racially profiling what a Latino should look like. And whether you're an American citizen or not, he's getting rid of you. What do you think he's going to do about Medicaid? He's telling all you folks out there, no, we're not cutting Medicaid. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, looks you in the eye through the camera and he tells you, we are not cutting Medicaid. And Mitch McConnell says, yes, we are cutting Medicaid, but the people will get over it. So when they're together, they admit they're cutting Medicaid. Tom Tillis, the senator from North Carolina, says this is going to be our Obamacare. This is where we are going to lose anything. Do you think Donald Trump cares? Of course not. He's out of office after this term, we think. He's out of office. And many others, they'll just go ahead and do the vote. And when they get beat in the midterms, they'll just go and work for a lobbying firm and you get screwed. What you got to do is you have to get those few Republicans that really believe in governing but are scared of Donald Trump. You have to give them the spine. My Republican brothers and sisters, you have to give them the spine to stand up for what's good for America. Because if this bill passes, we all know what the results are going to be. We all know that many of your mothers, your fathers, your brothers, your sisters, they're going to be kicked out of that nursing home. Your disabled friend is going to be kicked out of that wheelchair or not able to get that prosthesis that they need. Because again, they're coming after the money that we have all saved for you via our Medicaid taxes and passing it all on to the billionaires. This isn't conjecture, folks. Tom Tillis himself, a good Republican that attempted to just be as MAGA as he needed to be to survive, came out with this chart that pointed out, yes, in fact, there are cuts to Medicaid. Yes, in fact, it will screw some of the least of us. Folks, you've been warned. Latinos, you were warned. You believed. Now you're being screwed. Now, again, your families are sent back. Your wives are sent back. Those of you dependent on Medicaid, you've been warned. The question is, will you ensure that you're not screwed, not only on Medicaid, but on taxes, not screwed, not only on taxes and Medicaid, but on much, much more. Folks, we are talking about the destruction of this healthcare system as we know it and an intense suffering yet to have been seen in this country. Absolutely so. Now, folks, for those of you who are watching on the screen, that chart that I have there, that was created not by some Democratic lobby, not by Democrats, not by leaning Democrats. That was created or that was released by Tom Tillis. He says, hey, we are getting hurt more than anybody else. Our states, our red states, this bill is going to cream us. And he gave that handout to every Republican in the Senate. And it leaked. And of course, we have it now. That's the document that he gave. That is a document that's going to show all those swing states will be harmed irreparably. Irreparably. You know, let me just say this, right? I have all these personally these different identities. I could identify with each one of them. Caribbean, Black, Latino, all of that. And I can tell you something, being in each one of those environments, what was scary, what was scary was to listen and it was to listen to how the marketing by Donald Trump worked with some Latinos, worked with some African American men, worked with some Caribbean men. By the way, it almost never worked with the women. It almost never worked with the women. But how that methodology worked with these groups. And I sat down there, and it was all during the campaign, it was like, do you really believe that? Do you really believe that? And that's what we got. But folks, that's why we're here. We're here to inform. We're here to encourage critical thinking. Uju says, speaking, Hakeem doesn't care Gaza because APAC is his major donor, as is Cory Booker. Don't assume that because they are black and brown, because they're black and brown, it jumped up, black and brown, they are for the people. They are all corrupt and owned by their own oligarchs. Let's remember, and this is going to rub a lot of people wrong, but that crime bill that locked up a lot of black and brown folk because of what drug was predisposed for black and brown folks as opposed to the high level cocaine versus crack. You know what bill, who supported that bill? The CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus. That is understood very well, Uju, very well. We all have to look past the stupid thing called color lines, racial lines, and work with all people who want to move forward. The other things are just methods of division. Let's see. We also have Uju saying, speaking of Latinos for Trump, the woman who came up with the song and performed for free at one of his Miami campaign events, her hubby was just deported as he went for his immigration court check-in. It's amazing, isn't it? Maybe he should give Trump a call. But Egberto, honestly, I don't buy that they are scared. I honestly think they don't believe in governing anymore. Maybe they never did. How can you be scared when they have the best healthcare in the world? Our congressmen and women get the best healthcare in the world. I gave birth to my 2 kids and with insurance still had a $25,000 hospital bill. And this is after our $1,200 deductible was completed. Do y'all know who doesn't have a copay when they see a doctor, a dentist, a optometrist? Congressional folks, not even their staffers get that sweet deal. And they have the nerve to take away the people's health care. All of them are cowards. Any Dems and MAGA folks all need to be voted out. I am with you, sis. I am with you. I'm with you. John A. says, I care that we can feed and raise and educate children. Parents have to be well enough to support their children to succeed. Absolutely. So let's go to Donald.
Hey, good morning, Alberto. I was going to tell you this the other day.
Good morning, my brother.
You give 2 groups of people a book, and one reads it and the other one whatever. And it goes like, I don't like green eggs and ham. I don't like them Sam I am. And then you read the whole book, you try it, whatever. Okay, maybe I'm up for it. Then you give the other group a book, and they're just sitting there, I hate green eggs and ham. I hate green eggs and ham. I hate green eggs and ham. And they're flipping out, but they don't read the book. And that's the whole point I'm trying to make. You got to listen to both sides.
Amen.
And make an education. Yes, because I like the green book. But the problem I have with it is when you have to tell me that, okay, I've got to become a radical Islamic Muslim, or, there are good points at all of them, because that little dude, he had a struggle, and look what he did to the world. We have good ideas, but when it comes down to that damn religion, and you've got to do this, and you've got to go to the sun 5 days, or you got to go say these many Hail Marys and all this other garbage, if we just separate that crap and start doing actually what is good for the people, then we'll be in a better place. But that's what politicians do. People want the power. They don't give a rat's ass about you or me or anything else
Amen.
because they all do
Amen.
it.
Let me tell you what I found
So,
again. What I found at the No Kings March here in Kingwood, and I keep using Kingwood as a template because of how conservative we are here in Kingwood. Not me, of course. I'm a crazy liberal, um, but when I spoke to the people, and these were people that didn't mind talking. They have so had it that they were mimicking what you're saying. They wanted to let me know they were no darn Democrat. They were no darn XYZ. But you know what? They were out there to support that. No, they want policies that work for them. It turned out the policies that they wanted were progressive policies, but they are not damn Democrat. They wanted policies that work for them. They weren't gonna buy this crap anymore, like what they're gonna try to do to Mandami. The good thing about it is London, they're gonna use the Muslim thing against Mamdani. The good thing about it is the biggest city in Europe, England, is run by Sadiq Khan. So it's this is not going to be something strange that a Western city cannot be ultimately governed by somebody that isn't, well, you know what. But anyway, what else you got for me, Donald?
no, that's about it. I mean, we have to all get along. What I want to do is in New York, I want them to build a glass bubble and let them have their experiment and their social experiment. I want to see how it works out. That's
Yeah,
it.
before you go, Donald, let me just say it doesn't have to be an experiment because this guy is going to be one person, a mayor. He's also going to have a staff, and he's going to also have many other elected officials. And all of those elected officials should not be working for the oligarchy, as you just said. As you just said, they all should be working for the people. When you have the leader at the top thinking people first, it can have a way of permeating other people that are being led. Thank you very much for your call, my brother.
Okay, hold on. You just got me. You can take an educated guess when you start doing the legwork and all the formulating, and you start proving it out.
Hmm.
There's going to be stuff that influences, and there is your problem.
Yeah,
But
and
no,
we
that's
got to we got to work on those influences. You're absolutely right, sir. You're absolutely right. Thank you, my guy. Have a good one.
later. Yes, sir.
Let's go to Bart. Come on in, Bart. Bart, you're on. All right, let's go to Brian. Brian, you're
Yeah,
on.
I'm on. Yeah, I'm on. Okay, so Trump is winning, and the left. When are they going to go back to him being a fascist? Since he's doing what's right in the world, and I believe he's going to get a Nobel Peace Prize. When is he going to be a dictator and a fascist now?
All right. I am glad that you brought that up because he's not winning. Of course, he lied to you, and of course, you believed it about what occurred in Iran. But I don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to play that right now before I take the next call. But thank you for bringing that up. I hope you listen to the next segment because you learn a lot. Thank you, Brian. And here we
No,
go
I'm
with the
not. No,
other
no, I'm not.
video.
I'm not going to.
Here we go with the other video. Look, it's never surprising to say that Donald Trump is actually lying. But there are several types of lies out here. There are lies about, whether his crowds were large. There are lies about whether something that is nonsensical. But when you start lying about things like passing a bill, looking straight into your eyes and say it wouldn't cut your Medicaid, but it really would, could be fatal to you. Also, with respect to the invasion, or I should say, the bombing that the United States effected on Iran, that type of a lie and the results of that lie has serious effects. First of all, we'll discuss in another video that Donald Trump had no intelligence to go into Iran and bomb. He was actually caboozled into doing this from Netanyahu. But that is besides the point. The point is the mission to stall, to stop, to destroy Iran's nuclear program was a failure. According to their own internal reports, meaning the top secret reports, it did not accomplish its goal. And in fact, at best, it set back the program, the Iranian nuclear program, by a few months. But that's not what Donald Trump said. He said it obliterated all the nuclear reactors. Everything was obliterated, according to Donald Trump. I want you to listen to this piece, and then we'll take it on the other side.
So Donald Trump and all of his MAGA minions, many of his MAGA minions, I guess I should say, have been lying to the country for days. They have lied to all of us over and over and over again.
Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
Those pilots hit their targets. Those targets were obliterated.
We have obliterated the Iranian nuclear program.
We are confident, yes, that Iran's nuclear sites were completely and totally obliterated.
Iran's nuclear program has been completely and totally obliterated. I feel like maybe they had a note card that said obliterated on it and they gave it to all those people and made them say it. Who knows? But that was the message from the Trump administration since Saturday night. Clearly, that's what they kept saying over and over and over again. Even, by the way, as top members of the military, including high-ranking people within this administration, were saying it was too early to make an assessment. Because it was too early to make an assessment. And now here are the headlines from this afternoon. Here's one from CNN. Early U.S. intel assessments suggest strikes on Iran did not destroy nuclear sites. From the New York Times, strikes set back Iran's nuclear program by only a few months, U.S. report says. That's according to an initial classified intelligence assessment, which reportedly found that the U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, quote, did not collapse their underground buildings and set back Iran's nuclear program by only a few months. In fact, from all this reporting, a lot of it came out this afternoon, it turns out that much of Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium was moved before the strikes, which destroyed little of the nuclear material. In our own reporting, NBC News put an even finer point on it, saying, quote, an initial assessment by the Defense Intelligence Agency concludes that the U.S. airstrikes conducted over the weekend on Iran's nuclear enrichment sites were not as effective as Donald Trump said. To state the obvious, claiming you obliterated Iran's nuclear program doesn't make it so. And it's something that people then assess, including the military. But for Trump, it's always about the one day of headlines, the one-word slogan, claiming victory right off the bat, about obfuscation and defiance being prioritized over facts. And that will continue, I expect, even in the face of these new facts. Takes, for example, the statement released today by White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Here's what she had to say. This alleged assessment is flat out wrong and was classified as top secret, but was still leaked by an anonymous low-level loser in the intelligence community. Whew, there's a lot to unpack there. Couple questions here. If the assessment is flat out wrong, why was it classified as top secret, as she also characterized it? And if it's top secret, why do low-level losers, as she called them, have access to it? Lots of questions there. Her statement obviously makes no sense. Of course it doesn't. But we see this cycle constantly. Donald Trump says something, facts and reality say something else, and then his people have to kind of twist themselves into knots trying to explain why he's right and we're all apparently crazy, though we're not.
Let's be clear, folks. There are lies that are, they're serious, but there are lies that cost us as a country a lot. How much money did it cost us to send the B-2 bombers as decoys across the Pacific to Guam, as we also send a squadron of B-2 bombers over the Atlantic, refueled it several times to get it there and back, dropped bombs that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, for a mission that ultimately isn't successful. One of the things that always behooves me, Iran is not a dumb country. Iran is not Iraq. Iran has an advanced society, has always had an advanced society. Scientists, engineers, the works. That's why Israel tried to knock out several of their scientists, because, again, you can bomb the country, but you can't bomb the intelligence out of a country. And again, it's a big country, over 91 million people, with an intelligent population. A population that won't sit back and be a sitting duck for Israel and the United States to bomb. Did they know that a bombing was likely and coming? Of course. So what do you think they're going to do with their programs? Oh, yes, it's in a fortified mountain. And yes, it's in a fortified mountain that even our bunker busters likely did not get to. But that's beside the point. Do you think that's the only place they are? They are likely scattered all over that huge country. Huge. All right, folks, I see the lines are completely filled up. So I stopped that video because you come first. But I have to restrict you, and it's a hard 30 seconds, folks. So I'm going to start with Bard, a hard 30-second. Bard, say your piece, and then we'll finish.
Yes, sir. Brian is right. I think that President Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize because he has brokered a peace deal and a ceasefire with this Iran and Israel. And you're going to have me believe that these guys have tunnels underground or complexes. They can't even master indoor plumbing. They haven't mastered indoor plumbing yet. So,
all right, let's go to Bruce. That's a lie. Let's go to Bruce. Somebody who doesn't believe that. I mean, it's hard to believe that somebody believed that the empire that wants that Iran that they can't build things. They taught folks a lot of things. Come on in, Bruce. You're on. 30 seconds, brother. Okay, I guess we lost Bruce. Let's go to John, line 2. John, line 2. 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'm originally from New York, and I'm so happy that Zoran Mamdani has won the mayorship despite all of the machinations of the corporate elite in New York. This is a big victory for progressives throughout this whole country because it shows that you can win by door knocking and being popular with people.
Love you for that, Johnny. John, I got to go. You're absolutely right. Thank you, and I'm with you, sir. Let's go to Bobby. 30 seconds.
Good morning. Yeah, I agree that I feel like what we did in Iran was totally pointless. I don't understand why we would even like you said we bomb their facilities, but what's the point if you don't get your hands on the materials that they need to make the bomb? I have a friend I work with him every day. He's from Iran, and he was telling me that because he has family over there, that they were showing on the TV trucks leaving that mountain facility hours before it got bombed.
Bobby, you're correct. I got to go, Bobby. Bobby, you're absolutely right, Bobby, and you're a critical thinker. Thank you, brother. Call me another time, my dear. Let's go to David, line number 5. 30 seconds.
Oh, thanks, Egberto. Yeah, I remember in the awful company Enron during the Gulf War of George Bush Jr., there was a famous aspect of it that Enron wanted to run a pipeline across Afghanistan, and so they used the bombing runs to facilitate the pipeline. And so they pretended to be attacking Afghanistan, but they were really setting it up so that Enron was going to be able to run that pipeline cheaper.
David, 30 seconds up, but I got to get you to read a book that I interviewed the author of, a card about pipelines. You would love the book. I'll talk about it. Remind me to talk about it the next time you call in. Thank you, David. Got to go to Bruce. Bruce, 30 seconds.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Bruce. 30 seconds, Bruce.
Morning. Yeah, I'll be fast. The only thing Trump has obliterated is the truth. And even Josh Hawley can see that he's trying to get Republicans to march lockstep into Waterloo. I'm done.
Thank you, Bruce. Betty, 30 seconds.
Okay, about the only landscaping company, of course, they had this Muslim, two kittens got caught in there. He rode around and caught the kittens, put them in a bucket, rode around with them all day, and he brought them back to me. And I seen him pray once in a while, and I asked him if he believed in the 7 virgins, and he said, no, I don't. This guy goes and helps his wife put the kids to bed and feed them. He believes in help. That is the person that his whole life was.
Got to go, Betty. Love you.
Thank
Love you,
you.
Betty. Thank
Love
you.
you. Bye-bye.
All right, let's go to Johnny. Come on in, Johnny. 30 seconds.
Correction to both Donald and John Garcia. They both have a misunderstanding of what socialism exactly is. Socialism is not obsolete. It's not an experiment that requires New York to be put in a bubble or glass dome. The failed experiment that they should realize is unfettered, underregulated, mercenary style capitalism.
Thank you, Johnny. And by the way, you nailed it. No, it's not an experiment. And what we have as a failure is the abuse of the work and the bodies of people. You're absolutely right. Let's move. Before I move it to the studio, I want to welcome Billy Irwin from Summerwood, Paul Fleming from Atlanta, George Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Atascocita, Lee the Beer Cat from Austin, Texas, Desmond Jones. I'm not sure where you're from, but thank you for being here. And if I missed you, forgive me. And on the chat, you guys have had a robust conversation. Thank you for being there. Frank Johnson, thank you for being there. Uju, John A, John W, Deborah J, Cheryl Elkins. You guys are the bomb. I throw it to the studio.
All right, Egberto, it's Global Beatles Day. John, Paul, George, and Ringo. We love them.
We love them. We love them. We love them. Thank you, my brother. Howard?
I thought you meant the bug, like the Beatles Day. Apparently not.
We named them.
Oh, okay, good enough. Take it home, Egberto.
Thank you, my brothers. Thank you, my brothers. Hey, look, folks, I love you all. The rest of the program at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. The whole video that I had to cut is there. You can email me directly at kpft@politicsdoneright.com, kpft@politicsdoneright.com. Love you all, and that's from the heart. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!